Thanks for having me here. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Julia. Looks like a great group, so thanks for having us. I think we're going to dive right in. I'm excited to introduce our four panelists. Come on up. First, we have Giovanna Alfieri. She's the VP of Marketing of the Honey Pot Company. They are a feminine care wellness brand, which is humans with vaginas that make products for humans with vaginas. She also has a background in retail with Bonobos and Trina Turk, so lots of amazing experience. Next is Kit Garten. She's the VP of Digital and Customer at Chubbies Shorts, a local Austin-based company. Kit was one of the first employees. She's been there for 10 years, so a veteran, and she's seen literally everything at the company from packaging boxes to running customer service. Next is Dr. John Snow. Dr. John is the Chief Innovation Officer at Avenue Z. Prior to that, he was the president and founder of the Snow Agency, which is a digital marketing agency and one of the leading Shopify Plus partners. So one of your e-com experts over here. He is also an orthodontist, which if you meet him after this talk, that is their first question is tell me more about being an orthodontist and a digital marketer. And last, we have Andrea Sullivan. She is the president of Vive by Vayner. Previously, she was the CMO of VaynerX, which I'm sure most of you know. Vive by Vayner is a new venture that offers professional and personable development for entrepreneurs. So also, if you find her after, I'm sure there's lots of great offerings that she has. So let's jump in. We're going to be talking about the new normal in consumer engagement, which I think all of you in this room have felt in the last 5 years. So much has happened between a global pandemic, coming out of a pandemic, AI infiltrating all of our brands and companies, and there's a lot to keep track of how that impacts our engagement with our customers and our consumers. So let's just kick it off with a quick softball. What does the new normal look like for each of you and the roles that you sit in?
Yeah, I mean, I think because we cater to humans with vaginas, it is about their behavioral needs, some of which are very ordinary and mundane, i.e. having a period, but also others that are incremental, contingent on their experiences. And so for us, I think the new normal is that level of adaptation in terms of the products and innovations that humans want, alongside matching that with a really rigorous and intense, kind of full channel support and brand tone that is not only authentic, I think that word is so played out, but also I don't have a thesaurus handy, so I don't know what else I would call it, but certainly being able to capture that same level of intimacy through new product category development, I think for us is hugely important. And that is certainly like the new normal. So behavioral adaptation and then meeting them with both innovation through marketing and products.
It's an interesting point. I think you're right, authenticity is overused. But I think it means something different to everybody. So I do want to come back to that afterwards, but let's hand it over to Kit.
So I think we're currently dealing with the savviest consumer ever. I mean, people walk around with the entire internet in their hands. Gen Z is the first truly digitally native generation. And so as a result, I think as a brand, it's on us to make sure we are providing value to our customers and also continuing to innovate. I'm pretty fascinated by the rebranding of the word dupe. I think when I was growing up, knockoff had kind of like a shameful connotation, and now dupe is almost like a savvy like find that you see kind of propagated all around social media. And so as a brand, it's on us to continue to innovate and give value so that we can, retain our customers.
Yeah, so the way that I see it, I think it's really tied to consumer sentiment. So as we know, 2021 consumer sentiment was sky high, money was free flowing, it was easy to sell any product. And 2022 hit, consumer sentiment index was the lowest that it had been since it was ever tracked by the University of Michigan. And obviously when consumers are not confident, they don't spend as much. So for a while, spend was flat year over year, I think for the past 2.5 years, when in reality it should be growing. And consumer spend was flat. It actually did increase on experiences, travel, entertainment. And I think when I talk to brands the most, they need to understand if consumers are really focusing on spending on how they feel and things that get them excited, we need to translate that into our marketing strategies. So rather than selling your products, sell the experience that consumers have with the products. They want to feel something. So whether the product makes them more social or more confident, whatever it may be, just really lean into that strategy in your creatives, your ad copy, and take them on that journey. And the more they can visualize that experience, I think better off brands will be today.
I think we saw a dramatic change during COVID in terms of the influence that TikTok had on all of us, not only those that are selling to consumers, but even those in B2B. And so I think the whole TikTokification that's now occurring, and the fact that there's like apparently 55% sales are people are more apt to buy things from real humans with real experiences, personalized experiences. So what we're really advocating is the more content that you put out there and try to find right for the myriad of audiences that are out there, that's the most important thing. Gary's a huge advocate of just putting as much out there, listening as much as you can, learning as much as you can, and trying to adapt real time.
You hit a pain point in my household, which is my husband gets very frustrated when another box shows up at our house and he's like, "Did you buy that on TikTok?" And I was like, "Yes, I did." I want to go back to what Kit said about customer savviness, because social media has been around for almost 15, 20 years at this point. I can't keep track. I was in college when Facebook was created. I was across the river from Mark at Boston University, and cut to 20 years later, and here we are. But let's dive into savviness as it relates to the customer experience in social media, because it's constantly evolving. And I feel like it's hard to keep the pulse on what do you test, what don't you test, what do you listen to, what don't you listen to. John, I'd love to start with you. And you had an interesting thought around TikTok shops and your experience with Shopify. So I'd love to hear some thoughts there.
Yeah, so TikTok shops, in my opinion, honestly, that's what I'm most excited about for 2024. I've personally been spending most of my time in that area. I think it's the biggest opportunity for e-commerce brands as a whole right now. I think it makes no sense for a brand not to be on TikTok shop at this point, even if your AOV is high, even if you think, should my brand really be on TikTok next to these other dropship products? I think the resounding answer is yes, you should. And the reason why is because I think the biggest pain point everyone can resonate here with is the rising cost of customer acquisition, or how volatile it can be. And iOS 14 happened, and everyone's like, how do we acquire customers profitably on the first order, second order, whatever it may be? TikTok shop, you literally don't have to spend $1 on ads to generate some substantial sales that you'd be extremely excited by. So it really turned organic channels, TikTok organic, into a performance channel. So the more content you're putting out there, I have some brands I talk to, they're posting 5 times a day on TikTok. Every single video is tagging a product in the TikTok shop. Then you have the TikTok shop affiliate marketplace, and you can work out deals with influencers there where you don't even have to pay them up front to do a video. You just give them a nice commission on their sales, 25, 30%. I think anyone in here would take a 3 to 4x return on their first purchase. And then you start scaling that. So you start building this influencer affiliate army on TikTok shop. Now you have your organic channel cranking. You're not risking any dollars up front to acquire a customer. And as soon as you have creatives that are working on that influencer channel and on the organic channel, then you could start running some TikTok ads. Then you can use those creatives on Facebook ads and YouTube Shorts. And it's just created this flywheel of creative testing at a very low cost upfront to the brands. And I think the biggest TikTok shop right now, I've spoken to the founder, they've spent $0 on ads on Meta or TikTok or any paid social channel. And they're doing 8 figures a year in revenue on TikTok shop. And that's just in the first year of launching.
That's phenomenal. Wow.
I think just to build on that, one thing that we're seeing is if you do want to spend some money in other platforms, you can learn a lot from the affiliates who are out there with different creative and see what's working and what's not. So again, a great listening opportunity. And then I think the other thing is because there aren't enough people kind of leaning into TikTok shop, that for the most part, a lot of consumers are saying that they feel like it's the low end products that are out there now, and they're sort of cheap. And so that if you can come in and really own your space and do it in a way that's uniquely you, that there's a lot of opportunity for differentiation and for capturing net new markets.
Yeah, I think the challenge, and I want to say, is for those of us who have a bifurcated business model, meaning that we're not hugely reliant on e-commerce or a direct-to-consumer darling. TikTok Shop, the retailers obviously have massive grievances with, and so I do think that there's a bit of navigating that. And much like John outlined, the kind of path to opening up a TikTok Shop is of the most importance. Because I think once you're bolstering more of that organic engagement, then elevating to TikTok ads, and then embarking on the TikTok shop, I think that there will be, there's a path to discovery that can be, the story can be told to your retail partners. But I will say right now, Target, largest retail partner for us, there's a massive concern with our ability to go into that, because we would essentially be taking and cannibalizing our own business candidates. So
That's a really good point.
And to that, I would respond, take a look at Tarte Cosmetics case study, which I
Totally.
posted about. They've been all over TikTok Shops. They generated 8 figures in revenue there organically this year. And they actually reported a triple-digit halo effect on retail sales for the products that were in their shop. So I would show them that. And then
Power
one more thing about the shops, and you can tell I'm excited about it. But SEO value is real on TikTok. So I'm sure all of you have heard, like, oh, TikTok's organic search volume is rivaling Google and it's gonna, take out Google. I don't believe in that, but where there's smoke, there's fire. And non-branded keywords, like one example I always share is, like, we just set up a TikTok shop for a brand, 0 brand awareness. They didn't even launch their Shopify site yet. We just got their product listings live. We didn't even upload a profile photo yet to their organic TikTok page. Didn't even fill out a bio, no posts. But all their product listings were live, and we optimized them for SEO keywords. And a few days later, we were looking at the analytics in Seller Central, and we're like, how did each of these get hundreds of impressions? And it was because they were already ranking top 3 for that product category. So when people were searching their product, not by the brand name, but by the product's description, they were appearing first.
Wow. I want to go back to, your point around where you are in the stage of your business as a consumer company. I think there's varying levels of leverage you can pull and the barriers that you face. One of those is maintaining authenticity as you scale. So Kit, I want to turn this over to you. So Kit was one of the first employees at Chubbies. She would have her day job, and then the bell would ring at the end of the day, and they would go down to the warehouse and they would pack boxes to ship them. How has Chubbies gone from my hands are turning blue because I'm packing blue boxes to I'm running digital and customer success?
I'll say 2 things. I could say 1,000. The first one is, I think we have invested in a steadfast, disciplined obsession with understanding our customer and following their journey from the minute they, hit our website or they first see mention of us to, when they make their purchase and they're sitting there awaiting for its arrival, to following up with them afterwards. Second thing is some advice, which is building a business, building a brand more specifically, is both a science and an art. You cannot be 100% data-driven and expect to see scalable results. I think you have to be willing to take some risks. I'll give an example. A few years ago, I spent an undisclosed amount of money to send 4 of my coworkers to the NCAA basketball championship. I bought them courtside seats, and they wore our most popular print in a matching top and bottom. They had signs, they had choreographed dance moves, and they just generally kind of disrupted the floor.
That is brilliant.
And they were on TV for the entire game. They were on TV for the entire game. They were on every single, recap of the game, etc. And it was just this amazing thing. And it didn't even say Chubbies, but it was just a well-known enough print. I think famously after that, and one of my old coworkers is here, when we were recapping that activation, he said, well, I don't have any data, but it felt successful. And we all had the exact same reaction. But now when I look back at it, I'm like, that is what you have to trust in your gut, that spending that undisclosed sum of money, if you're sending the right people, they're going to be able to create that type of experience that is going to pay back in ongoing dividends, but you might not be able to see the direct ROI.
It's always the debate of investing in brand and that long-term halo effect. And it's like, you're not going to see the ROI immediately, but that halo effect can carry you very far. But that's always the balance. So I want to talk a little bit about personalization, because I feel like it's table stakes that customers expect personalization versus, I think maybe 5 or 10 years ago, it's like, oh, wow, that was a really nice surprise. What does that look like for your brand? So Giovanna, what does that look like as you guys talk about transformative self-care?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's funny. We don't have the luxury of like, you can't wear, pads courtside at an NCAA.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe you could.
Yet.
So all that to say, the intimate care space has been deemed precisely that because it's considered lewd or offensive or all of these things. And the biggest mission of the Honey Pot is to kind of democratize and normalize these situations, and thus taking the very stigmas that have limited people in this space and using those as our secret weapons in a lot of ways. And so I think personalization for us is obviously distinctly our brand tone for sure. So humor is a massive opportunity and bridge for us. If you guys go to our social media, you'll see we use an animated vulva. Her name is Miss Coochie. She will both educate you and entertain you. And that's it's a massive device of personalization in a highly cluttered space, because we all have a propensity to go to the Tampaxes and Always of the world because one, that's what our moms, our aunties, our grandmothers had, our friends, etc., or what was at school. And then so for us, we're trying to also figure out how can we be there for those oh my moments. So distribution is a massive play for us, right? We're not at a 7-Eleven, so you're going to trade down immediately because you need a tampon pad, etc. And so for us, one, also opportunity is for personalization is distribution. How can we be in the places where you're shopping at all times so that you can honor both your needs and the brand in those moments? But I think that, humor as a device for transformative self-care takes what are deemed as micro conversations or micro experiences and brings them to the macro. And I think the brand does a really good job of saying, like, these are things that often happen in isolated conversations, but we're going to create a platform where you don't have to feel shameful about it, and there's a brand talking to you about that, and that two-way discourse is really important. So
Awesome.
I think we have an epidemic of loneliness here in the US, especially post-pandemic, and we're seeing a lot of people crave community, and online is an amazing forum for that. I read some numbers, please don't quote me on the numbers, but I mean, Discord has added 50 million users in the last year. Reddit is reporting 44% year-over-year growth in daily users. Like, these are all platforms where people are coming together to kind of find their community and converse with people who they don't necessarily know, because a lot of us are at home more frequently than we were. And I think we have a branded app that we use that you log on with your loyalty information, and it's a place for us to kind of, we have real estate then in our customers' phones, and they walk around with us in their pocket, and it's a great place to have community engagement that you own. So while Discord is an amazing place for building community, there's something to be said for owning that relationship, and bonus points if they can then buy your product after, getting a recommendation from a fellow customer within that app.
As marketers and brand builders, we're constantly looking at emerging technologies. There's always something happening every week, every month, but over the course of the last year and a half with AI, I think it's just exponentially grown into, oh my God, how do we keep up with all of these AI tools that are now at our fingertips? You talk about Discord. The number one channel on Discord is Midjourney, because the only way you can access Midjourney is by entering your prompts on Discord currently. They have a new product rolling out. So John, talk a little bit about AI. I feel like every panel will probably have some form of AI question here, but what does that mean for the customer experience, and like, how has that been evolving? We're at the tip of the iceberg here. So
Yeah, and I mean, every company is an AI company now, right? So I could talk about anything, but I would say the way that we're leveraging AI the most is really just through research, copywriting, and strategy, ChatGPT. So like, we built our own custom GPT now to build us funnels. We called it Funnel GPT. So for any e-commerce brand or even B2B lead gen, you just type in your website and it'll literally give you an entire funnel strategy, step-by-step. Run a social media campaign to this type of landing page with this type of copy and and we have templates for landing pages too, where we could dig into any part of what funnel GPT will spit out, and we have the whole thing built out. And if we don't like that funnel idea, we could say, give me 5 more funnel ideas, give me 10 more, and I want to pick the best one. So you told your marketing team to do that from scratch and give you fully baked funnels, they would probably look at you like you're crazy, and it would take them a week to do it. Now we can do it in a matter of minutes. So that was like one cool way that we've been leveraging it. Even market research, we'll type in a certain brand. We want to do competitor research rather than doing a simple Google search. We have a whole, custom GPT that's built to give us a whole market research report in a matter of seconds. Outside of that, something I'm excited about for e-commerce brands where AI is being leveraged is the art of forecasting. I think that's the hardest thing to do for e-commerce brands because there's so many confounding factors. And you always wonder, like, if I spent X amount more on Facebook ads, like, will that get me an incremental return? So there's a really cool company out there called Prescient AI right now. And they will literally give you a scenario on like what your revenue forecast should be in 12 months and how you should allocate spend. And they give you confidence levels and they'll back test all of it. So you could see if the recommendation they gave you, checked out in the end. And I think that's like the way that media buying and planning should essentially evolve. Is it's so objective in nature that humans really should not be involved in introducing any type of subjectivity or feelings into that, and they can focus more on strategy and execution.
Yeah, it's interesting, the gray area between subjectivity and objectivity in the world of AI, and I feel like this will continue to evolve. Andrea, how does the Vayner community look at this from some of your experiences with other brands?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting that typically Gary really leans in on all emerging technologies. And I think, we definitely are leaning into AI, but it's, looking at the social listening, how we're doing concepting, research, all that kind of thing. But just short of then actually creating the work, right? And just because of all the legal concerns and a lot of things that have yet to have been resolved, I think it is interesting to look at some of the influencers that are out there that are not real humans, that are saying, yeah, come on, try what I'm wearing and all these kind of things. And back to our conversation about authenticity, it'll be interesting to see if, does the world eventually say, oh, wait a second, we don't want to acknowledge this as, part of our world, or, are we fascinated and are we going to just go deeper? So I think those are some question marks. It'll be interesting to see how they play out.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting to watch. Just want to do a quick time check. I think five more minutes, Julia. Thank you. There's the hand. So I'm going to leave this up to you, how you want to answer this. 2 things. You can either choose to talk a little bit about surprise and delight, and what does that mean in today's world, or any advice that you have for the new entrepreneurs, founders, up and coming, who are building their next consumer company. So up to you how you want to answer.
Okay. Oh, we're going on a line. Great. Okay. I think I'm going to do both really quick. I can do it quickly.
Love it.
So surprise and delight, I think for us is evolving in terms of everything hearkening back to everything I've spoken about to date is innovation, right? And so for us, we actually have a consumer set who has a high propensity for newness and trying new products. And so what we thought about is actually creating, and again, this is not new or revolutionary by any stretch of the imagination, but creating in-house consumer focus groups where we can actually bring our consumer in to the honeypot world, create that, and also have them innovate alongside of us. We are launching into body cleanser, massive category, highly competitive, highly scary, right? Especially for a brand that has created such ownership in feminine care. And so I think for us, this is also that opportunity to really substantiate and firm up our feedback loops, but in a way that's hyper intimate and also surprising and delighting humans that potentially don't have access to a trip to Atlanta or, various wellness experiences. And that is extremely important to the brand. Second question, advice. I think just like truly being patient. I think what I've learned in my role and in my tenure at the Honeypot, I'm one of the first employees as well, is that, we are rushing constantly. We're constantly in a spiral. There's a rush to market, rush to marketing, all of these things. And what we've realized is that people see that and they feel that. And so for us, it's about being able to actually have the honest conversations of what does it look like to slow down? What is the assumed risk of slowing down? And then in moments where we actually have to work double time, what are we doing that that for and what is the projected outcome. And so I think really honoring time, even though that's scary, is a really important part of building your brand, because people can sniff it out from a mile away when you're moving too fast.
That's great. Nice.
Yep. On the surprise and delight front, I think we have kind of an orienting sort of ethos or feeling, which is Friday at 5. So if you picture how you feel Friday at 5 when you get to slam your laptop shut, that moment of zen, that's kind of what we try and bring to our customers through our products, through our marketing, through our email subject lines, et cetera, and then through digital Easter eggs. I gave the example from the basketball game where we didn't necessarily have any, direct KPIs to report on there, but it felt successful. A few years ago, we created something called the boss button, which was a floating fixed button on the upper left corner of our website. It was bright red and it said boss. And we did it on the day of one of our biggest promotions of the year. And this was back before home work, virtual work had really started. So the idea was that if you're shopping our site in the middle of your workday and your boss walks by, you can quickly hit this boss button, and all of a sudden your screen would be taken over by an Excel spreadsheet or a printing pop-up or a calendar with lots of silly fake calendar invites. We changed the experience every hour of the promotion. That was something that we definitely invested time in because we had to fully build that. That did not exist. And in the end, the folks that interacted with the boss button had a 187% higher conversion rate than those that didn't. And that is the power of putting little Easter eggs on your website, is that someone who stumbles upon one and realizes you made them laugh. I think you said about giving people experience, that is such a beautiful moment to create, and it will, it can really wind up being a profitable experience as well.
That's creativity at its finest. John and Andrea, quick 30 seconds from each of you.
One. Biggest piece of advice I can give a new entrepreneur in e-commerce is really just being a student at all times and stay curious. And things are changing at warp speed, and you have to stay current. You have to stay ahead of the trends. So figure out how you're going to consume that information, build it into your day-to-day workflow. And if you're not adapting, you're getting left behind. And don't want to have shiny object syndrome and try to go after everything trendy, but build a network of other founders that are in the same position as you, and always be learning and follow the right people, subscribe to the right newsletters, and stay current.
So big fans of surprise and delight. Not going to beat the boss button there by any stretch of the imagination. That is so fabulous. Love the idea of also looking at surprise and delight inside your organization and then amplifying that outside, certainly with founder-made brands. Everybody wants to see into your culture and know that they're supporting people that are doing great things. So being able to flip that and turning it into a marketing tactic. And then just in terms of watering and nurturing everyone in this room, I think we all want to be of help. And certainly thank you, Megan, for the fabulous community that you've created here in the Vibe. If there's anything that I can do, Gary can do. Vibe by Vayner is something new. So I'm an entrepreneur inside my own company. I could use your help. But if there's any way that I can water and nourish any of you, please, I'd love to talk to you some more.
Yes, that goes for all 5 of us on stage. Please find us on LinkedIn, reach out. We are always here to help. So thanks for the time.